Oh boy, do I got a topic for you guys today. Well, I feel like I've made it pretty clear on my viewpoint regarding this specific topic, and I've definitely mentioned it a few times, but I haven't made a full video about it yet, so today is going to be that. And you're probably wondering at this point, what topic is this? What topic could this be? The topic of dating apps, my friends, and why I really don't like them. Where do I even begin, honestly? Like, how do I start this conversation? Because there's so many things that are bad about dating apps. Especially, like, with the place that I live in, okay? I live in a pretty small town in Maine, right? And right off the bat, your abundance of options is pretty small. On top of that, like, I don't know, when you do have options, they're usually on campus here at UMaine because, it's UMaine, it's a big school, a lot of people. But here's the thing with dating apps. So first of all, you pick your poison, you got Hinge, you got Tinder, you got, what's the other one? I can't think of the other one. But those are the big two, I'd say, Tinder and Hinge. Bumble, that's the third one, yeah, Bumble. So Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble are your big three. Pick your poison. I mean, any of those three really is inherently bad, at least in my opinion. But I mean, the thing with dating apps is like it's not real, right? Nothing on it is really real. You're not making actual connection like you would in person. Like say you meet somebody out at a coffee shop or something and you compare that to you meeting somebody on Tinder, you're gonna be able to really get a feel for if you want to actually continue seeing the person from the coffee shop as opposed to Tinder. With Tinder, it's just like, you text a bunch and you might talk for a week or two and then eventually you're gonna hang out, and then after 2 weeks you find out that this person isn't right for you. And it's like, what was the point of that? Why did I spend all this time talking to this person and texting them and maybe even calling them too, if I'm going to hang out with them in person and just see they aren't the one for me? Like, that happens a lot, and you're always never really going to have a hit, You're not ever going to always find success in dating because that's just the way it goes, It's the cycle. It's the way it seems to be. But, dating apps, it's not real. None of it really is. A lot of people treat it like a game. Like, most people don't even take it seriously on there. Majority of the people that are on dating apps, especially Tinder, and I mean especially Tinder, treat it as like if it's some joke, Like, you might swipe on, like, say 20 people, and none of those 20 people will swipe back on you and match with you, Like, it's a repetitive and really frustrating cycle to get yourself wrapped up into. And you end up spending a lot of screen time on those dating apps hoping that somebody's going to, swipe back on you and you'll get a match and you'll be able to talk to somebody. And that's why, like, I guess my best way to define dating apps is microwave dating. Because it's easy, Dating ain't meant to be easy, bro. Dating was never meant to be easy, All of that, like, action and commitment and follow through, like, I feel like that doesn't really happen the same way through dating apps, if at all. In fact, at least through my experience, none of that actually happens, because the majority of the time, like, especially if you're looking for, like, a real relationship, you might as well forget it, bro. Like, if you're looking for a real relationship, you might as well go elsewhere. Because even, like, say, for example, Hinge, which is supposedly, like, more catered towards people who are looking for an actual long-term relationship, even on there, people still, like, treat it as a game and are only actually in it for, like, just to fuck, People just want quick sex, one night stand type activities. Like, come on, bro. Like, if that's your thing and that's the kind of point you're at in your life, and it's what you want to be doing with your time, then I'm not going to judge you, that's your business, not mine. But me personally, like, if I'm going to put myself out there and try to potentially, like, meet a new potential partner or something like that, I'm not going to do it over the phone, because that's just, like, it's inauthentic. All of it is, how you represent yourself over the phone is probably not going to be the same way you do in person. At least a lot of people are like that, and you don't really get to know that person that way. They might text you a bunch and seem like they're really outgoing, and then you get with them in person and they're like super duper quiet. I've been in that situation so many times, bro, and it's so frustrating because, like, they put on this persona of somebody who's, like, super outgoing, and it looks like they're gonna be able to have a great conversation with you, just to actually meet them, and then to have literally nothing happen. And it's just like you get a bunch of awkward silence, and the date is just, it's going bad, like, I mean, raise your hand if you've had that happen to you before, because I'll tell you, like, I've had that happen to me so many times, bro. It'll be like these super attractive girls that, like, that put on this mask of being somebody they're not, and it's frustrating. I'm not gonna just also put this blame onto girls. I'm sure there's plenty of guys that are out there like that as well. Like, I can't entirely shift the weight of the blame onto those people that I've had those experiences with, because I'm sure that in some ways I contributed to it not being the greatest day ever. I probably didn't bring my best self for that day. I probably wasn't in the greatest mindset to be talking to people like that, or just casual mistakes like that shouldn't be made, but they're made, so you can't go back and change them. But, like, that's just the general rap with dating apps. Like, it's inauthentic. It's not real. It's all a game, bro. Like, people treat it as if it's like, Angry Birds or like Flappy Bird or something like that. Like, it's not real, dude. It's just a video game for them to scroll through and see if if you're super attractive, then they'll swipe on you. Like, that's another big thing. Like, with dating apps, it puts a lot of emphasis on how attractive you are. And I feel like that is really the big determining factor with your matches. And, if you're looking for a real partner, it's like, especially, like, this part kind of leads more towards the guys. But, like, girls are looking for your personality, man. Like, dating apps are not going to show who you are as a person. You might be able to fit in a few sentences about some things you do, or some things you like, or some jokes, but that's not really you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a small, tiny ass piece of the pie compared to the entire pie. You know what I mean? Like, the amount of just yourself that you're actually putting out there is nowhere near the amount that actually exists within you. And with dating apps, you can't show that, really. You can't show all of you. So it's hard for somebody to really justify if they actually like you or not, and want to spend time with you, and maybe actually be in a relationship with you. You don't really know that unless you do it in person. As hard as it is and as scary as it is, it's like, with dating apps, that took all the hard out of relationships and dating altogether. Everybody has this, like, mindset with dating that it's supposed to be like in the movies. It's supposed to be super easy and, like, lovey-dovey, and it's gonna come right to you when the time's right. And I mean, as much as there's some truth in that, and that it'll come to you, it's not as easy as it seems in the same sense. It's not gonna be like something that happens overnight. It's gonna take time to come to you. And at the same time, as much as you gotta let it come to you, you also gotta try in the same sense. You can't just want dating to be easy. You're too afraid to go talk to a girl you think is attractive. Like, first of all, why do you care to begin with if some girl's, like, super attractive and you're, like, afraid to talk to her? Like, why are you afraid to talk to her, bro? You don't even know her, man. How can you, like, make a basis on your judgment of her just because of her appearance. Like, she could be very similar to you, and you might find a lot of interests in common, and you might want to spend more time together. In the same sense, you might not. And, you know, if you don't, it's not a big deal. Like, who cares? It's like, I don't know. Dating apps has given people a reason to become less social, less vulnerable, and I don't know. It's taking away from dating, honestly. It's collectively just making dating worse and a million times harder, you know? All these platforms were created to make dating so much easier, but in the same sense, they've also made it a million times harder. Like, it's kind of just counteracting itself. Like, the idea these developers had when they were making Tinder and Hinge and Bumble and all the other dating apps that exist out there, you know, their intention was clearly to make dating a lot easier for the general public, but all it's done is really, like, make it a million times harder. And, you know, I'm one to talk on this too, because I don't live in somewhere like Boston or NYC where your abundance of options is massive, so you're guaranteed, like, in places like that to probably find somebody. But even still, it's inauthentic, man. And even if you go up to somebody in public and they're already taken, like, who cares, bro? Like, you tried. So it's like, that's what counts. And you only gain more experience from that. So, and I feel like that's the part of dating, of the whole dating experience together, that a lot of people are lacking, that a lot of people don't really have anymore. And that's a problem, because when people lack that skill, it's going to only continue to make dating a million times harder. So yeah, that's my spiel for today. My TED Talk, if you will, on my strong disliking for dating apps. So, yeah, that's all I really got for you guys. Stay blessed.